Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell because we are back here every week with all the crafty fun. And this week is no exception because we are doing DIY Christmas ornaments that make the perfect gifts this holiday season. They're also really good for selling if you have your own crafty business. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it and talk about my 6 favorite DIY Christmas ornaments for this holiday season. Let's jump right into our first ornament today, which is probably our easiest ornament we're going to talk about, and it's these abstract painted clay look ornaments. I like this project because it doesn't require a cutting machine, but these do sell really well online. When I've seen these done the most successfully, people tend to do a gradient look. So I've got 3 shades of kind of pink and purple here, and then I'm going to tie in a yellow for some contrast. So really all you need here is your ornament blank, your paints, and a couple paint brushes. And then we're going to finish it off with a ribbon. You could either keep what comes with the ornament, or you can use yarn to create a separate kind of color on the top. So let me grab some water and then we're gonna jump right into painting this. Got my water jar, we are ready to go. I'm gonna put a little paint in my thing here. Don't know why that word is like failing me. Paint palette. I find that this primary red from Graduate Acrylics, it looks more pink to me. Some yellow here. Ooh, it really needs to be mixed up. This one's called light pink and I love it. I think it's such a pretty pastel color. I highly recommend starting with your angular brush. Start with a dark color, and all we're gonna do is literally just make strokes. We're not worried about it looking perfect. We're not even worried about it looking consistent. The only thing we care about is that our stroke looks complete. So if you kind of don't have enough paint on your brush, you can end up with something that just looks like too streaky. You want it to look nice and full throughout the entire stroke. So I'm just gonna put a couple on here. You can see I'm just kind of going around my ornament, adding my little strokes. And then I'm just gonna rinse my brush. And we're gonna go switch from our angular brush to our blunt brush here in just a second. And then we're gonna put some hot pink on here. Same concept. Again, the only time I'm really going over it is if I feel like I didn't get a complete brush stroke out of it. We're not really worried about direction. We're not really worried about having a pattern. We are literally just making brush strokes. It is kind of nice to vary the thickness sometimes, so I may come back to some of these and add a second line, making it a little thicker, just so we've got some variety. And I could take off the top of this ornament, but I'm really just being careful not to get paint on it. We don't want paint on the gold part. We want all of our paint to be on the clay. Now for this one, I'm actually just using the little angled edge of my brush to create my lines, to create an even thinner stroke there. And I'm kind of like butting right up against some of my other ones to really just give it that cool abstract look. I like to do all of my colors that are contrasting first, and then I'm gonna come back in with my yellow. But right now I'm really just looking for any spots that look less full because I was kind of just holding it. So I feel like it's gonna be easy to have some spots that we need more of. I really, right now, am wanting some more of that dark red, especially right here. All right, I think I'm happy. Once I add one more pink, I'm pretty happy with this. Now I'm just gonna come in and add some gold. I'm gonna use my smaller brush for this. These are gonna be smaller and more just like slight strokes here and there. Again, just to add some contrast. And while we're doing this, I'll give you my first tip about selling Christmas ornaments, and that is be mindful of shipping. Don't forget that with a project like Christmas ornaments, where they're breakable and sometimes heavy, like these clay ones have some weight to them, it's gonna cost you a decent amount to ship it. So definitely get a shipping scale, weigh these ahead of time, know how much it's gonna cost you to send this to your clients before you begin pricing, because often if somebody sees an ornament for $4.99, they might be excited about buying that, but then when they get to checkout and see it's going to cost them an additional $8 for it to get shipped to them, that can be a really common spot for you to lose sales. So it might be worth your while to weigh your ornaments, figure out how much it's going to cost to ship them, and consider wrapping a portion of that shipping cost into your pricing so that people don't get such sticker shock and have more likelihood to drift away from your listing when they reach the shipping point. Okay friends, this is our first Christmas ornament done. I'm leaving my red ribbon on this because it matches the motif I went with, but feel free to cut yours off, swap it out. Yarn and ribbon work perfectly fine for this, and I would just recommend selecting a color that matches what you did. I think it's really fun. She's very cutesy, she's very demure. First Christmas ornament, done. Okay, our second ornament is this really cute traditional ornament style, but we're gonna add a name to it. And we're also gonna add some really cute ribbon and accessories to really make it stand out. Our finished product is gonna look something like this. I think these are really fun. They're really popping off on the market right now and starting to gain momentum and get really popular. Let's jump right in. Let me tell you what you need for this project. First, you need your blank ornament. You're gonna want an opaque ornament style for this one. You're also gonna need some ribbon. So try to find two kind of coordinating ribbon styles, maybe one thicker patterned and one thinner. I chose these two pink ones. I've got this little gingham guy and then this more fuchsia pink one. And then you're gonna want some disco balls. And I find that kind of the most cost-effective way to do this if you're not planning to make a ton of them, disco ball earrings. That's what I'm using today. You're also gonna need some vinyl to personalize it. I chose this copper color. It is Starcraft HD. And then you'll need some transfer tape and general Cricut tools. Let's hop on over to the computer and get our design file ready. And then we're gonna start cutting our vinyl for this project. Okay, so let me show you where I found the font that we're gonna use for this project because that is the design file we're gonna be using. So what I did is I just went to my Plus products and on the left-hand side, I selected script fonts. And I'm just looking for something that feels very Christmassy. This holiday Melodyne one, I absolutely love. I think it really stands out. I love all the little curly cues that you can add if you want to as special text effects. So let's do that one. So we're gonna hop on over here and click download now. And then to get a font into Cricut Design Space, you do need to click on it and add it to your font book. So that's for Mac. And once it's added there, you'll be able to access it in Cricut Design Space. So let's hop in Cricut Design Space and take a look at what that looks like. So here we are in Cricut Design Space. Let me show you how to access a font that you've imported. All I'm gonna do is select new text. We are gonna be doing it with my daughter's name on it this time. So I'm just gonna do Hallie, and then I'm putting the year underneath, which is 2024. I already have it selected, but if you didn't already have it selected, what you're gonna do is go to, you see you have these 4 options up here, Cricut, System, Bookmarked, and Recent. We're gonna select System, and then you're just gonna start searching for the name of the font. So in this case, it was called Holiday Melodyne. So when I search Holiday, it comes up. If I didn't search for any font name, you can see all the fonts that I have in my computer are gonna be coming up here. It's way too much to sift through, so do be sure to use that search bar to find exactly what you're looking for, and then we're just gonna select it. So here's how it looks with no adjustments. What I typically like to do is any separate line, I'm gonna create it as a separate text box, just so I can manipulate them individually and on their own. So I'm gonna put Hallie 2024. I kind of want 2024 to be smaller and maybe even down here to the side. I like that look, especially with the H, but I kind of want even more of a discrepancy between the two. I like it like that. And we're really not concerned with adjusting our color here because this is gonna be all cut together and in one color anyway, but we do want to briefly step away from the computer and measure our ornament so we can get our size correct. So I'm just going to grab my ornament here. Looks like we've really got about 2.5 inches of good width to work with. And then in terms of height, I really wouldn't go any bigger than 1.5. So we want to set our entire design here to 2.5. That's gonna be kind of like our limiting measurement. And since this is all gonna be cut as one unit, I'm gonna go ahead and select the whole thing and select to weld it together. That way this now all is just one unit and we don't have to worry about that. I'm gonna change my width to 2.5. And I'm gonna make sure that my height stays under 1.5 like we discussed, and it does just barely, which is honestly really serendipitous. That's really all we need to do here. So we're gonna click Make It, and we're gonna go ahead and cut this on the permanent adhesive vinyl setting. I'm gonna cut this on a mat. We don't need to mirror because we're using adhesive vinyl today. And I'm just gonna click Continue. Okay, so I'm gonna get away from the computer now, and let's get this cut and get it on our ornament. Okay, so we're just going to load it in. Press the flashing unload load button, and then we're just gonna let it cut and do its thing. While our Cricut cuts, we're gonna go ahead and do the ribbon portion of this. Cut as much as you want. There's not an exact measurement here, so just cut to your heart's content. And then you can kind of just start tying them through the little loop at the top. We're gonna trim it at the end, so don't be alarmed how it looks right now. Okay, so we're just gonna continue tying our ribbon. You can also hot glue these strips if you don't want to tie them, but also keep in mind we are going to be hot gluing on the disco ball, so we do need something of a knot at the top where we're gonna attach our disco ball. We're still able to hold it for hanging. And also, since this is wired ribbon, I'm able to place it and make it have a little bit of character. I'm gonna go ahead and get my earrings out here and start disassembling them because we don't want them to be earrings. We want them to be charms today. And then all I'm going to do, in fact, because this has a little loop at the end of it, I don't even have to hot glue it today, which is nice. I'm gonna thread it through here where the ornament hangs and create a little slip knot. Okay, be sure to make sure your disco ball is secure, whether that means you're gonna tie a little slip knot, whether you're gonna add a little dot of hot glue. We just wanna make sure it doesn't fall off, but I am loving how this is looking. It's really, really cute and so festive. So I'm gonna set that off to the side because what we're gonna do now is trim our vinyl, weed our vinyl, and then attach it to our ornament here. Okay, let's get our vinyl. Because this is pretty small, I'm gonna go ahead and weed it on the mat. You could reverse weed with this and you'd probably have good success, but I am nothing if not a rebel. So we're gonna try to do it without reverse weeding. And we're gonna see how these really thin cuts behave for us here. All right, let's weed out those center pieces really fast. I just had a vision of myself breaking this ornament before it's done. Ah, we've picked up an entire 4. Let's slide that 4 back where it goes. Ah! I lost the dot on my eye. That's okay. For the purposes of this project and showing you, I'm just gonna let it slide, but if you were doing this for real or you were gonna sell this, I would go back and cut that eye again. My second tip for selling ornaments online is to be really aware of keywords within your niche. So what I mean by that is to be a stalker and a researcher about what keywords are trending in the field of ornaments, especially right now and what's projected to be trending for this Christmas season, because having the appropriate keywords and really modeling your ornaments after whatever is trending is going to help you tremendously in standing out from the crowd in what is really a very saturated market. So what I mean by that is right now, disco balls and everything disco is trending. So something like this could be a really cute design for the Christmas season because it incorporates that very feminine, very like disco cowgirl type aesthetic that's really popular. So knowing that is not only going to help me model my product, but it's also going to help me know how to title it, how to give it an appropriate description and keywords and tags that are going to help it stand out because I'm utilizing something that people are already searching for and that's already popular. Okay, so we've weeded our design. We are now going to use transfer tape, and then I'm literally flipping my whole mat over, and I'm gonna peel away the whole thing first actually, because I haven't done that yet. Now I'm gonna flip over my little backing here and start peeling my backing away from my vinyl and not the other way around. That really just prevents things from peeling up and gives you a much more even pull. And now that I've done that, we are ready to apply our vinyl to our ornament. Be really careful when you're doing this because once it's on, it's on. So I like to kind of lay my ornament flat. If you have like a tumbler cradle, that's something that could really help you here. In fact, let me get mine out so you can see what that would look like. So I'm gonna place it in my tumbler cradle here, and then I'm going to line up where I want it and just gently wrap the design. Now, whenever you're doing a circular design, it can be really tempting to just stick it all on there really fast, but that's how you can end up with bubbles and bumps and creases. So I try to lay it flat horizontally first, and then I'm just very gently gonna come in and encourage those individual letters down as we move up and down the ornament. That's gonna help you not end up with huge bumps, creases, etc. Some people I've seen like to cut little slits in their transfer tape to allow it to kind of bend, and you can manipulate it more that way. I've honestly found that doing that and doing it this way does about the same thing, because once you stick it on there, it's on there, and then you don't really have to worry as much. That is cute, my friends. That is cute. All right, let's just trim our ribbon, and then this one is done. All right, let's cut her short. Cut this one a little bit. Cut this one a little bit, and cut that one. And this is where if you wanted to add more ribbon, you totally could. If you wanted to add more dimension, you totally could. Add another disco ball, make it your own, do what you want. But there you have it, Disco Cowgirl ornament for 2024. Let's talk about our third ornament and perhaps my favorite ornament that is trending this holiday season, and that is hand embroidered hoop ornaments. These are so fun and honestly really simple to execute if you can just learn one simple embroidery stitch that I'm gonna show you today. I'm gonna show you a couple different ways you could execute this and a couple different ways you could do it. The first thing you need to do though is just cut your fabric. So I'm going to cut this piece of fabric here into a really rough square. Really not stressed about it looking perfect. We're gonna cut a lot of it off, but if you have like fabric scissors or even a way to cut this more clean, feel free to. We just want a square that's bigger than our hoop so that our hoop can snag onto it. And once you kind of have this rough square, we're gonna attach it to our hoop here. I'm gonna go ahead and show you up here. This is kind of what to expect as your end result for this. I think these are very fun, and I love, love, love the end result. As you can see, I'm just shoving my inner hoop in there, and then I'm gonna tighten this up so we have a really good result. Once you've cut your square and you've attached it to your hoop, we're now going to write our saying on here. You could do merry and bright, you could do someone's name, you could do any other Christmas saying you want. This is going to be typography based. We're not gonna worry about embroidering pictures today. We're just doing words. It's a lot easier, and I love how the end result turns out. I've seen people do the tracing before they put it in the hoop. It's totally fine if you prefer that. I've seen people freehand it. If you feel confident in your freehanding, go for it. I think that's what we're gonna try to do today. But then also something that I did previously for this ornament style, I will show you. I took my son's artwork from school, he is 5, and I traced his actual handwriting onto my ornament and created this really cute design where it's actually his handwriting embroidered onto this ornament. I'm gonna add the year later on, but I love how this looks. It makes such a good keepsake ornament, and it's special because it's his actual handwriting this year. I've got my needles here and I've got my embroidery floss. I would go ahead and thread your embroidery floss through, get yourself like a decent amount, and remember to tie a knot at one end because we're going to need it to be stuck. So if you've never done embroidery before, we want to feed our floss all the way through, however much you want, and then make sure you have kind of a little tail here that's about however long that is. And then at the end of our long end, we're just gonna tie a tiny little knot. And that's gonna help us because when we do our first little poke, we're gonna pull it all the way through, and the knot is gonna make sure it doesn't just fall all the way through our fabric. It's gonna give us like an anchor point. And then I'm gonna go ahead and set this off to the side and do my tracing. For what we're doing today, you really don't need a whole ton of floss. You can always start a new strand if you need to, so don't worry about having too little or too much, because if you need to start fresh, you totally can. Okay, I'm just gonna put merry and bright on mine today, and I'm just freehanding it, so I'm not doing anything special. Remember that you can trace if you want a more exact look, and also feel free to use different colors of fabric, different colors of thread. If you get good at embroidery, you can also add wreaths, Christmas trees, different elements that make it super fun. If I did this with a pencil, it would be easier for sure. Merry and bright. We've written it. We are ready to start our first stitch. You're going to start in the top left corner, and you're just gonna come from behind and bring your string all the way through. So you can see that knot catches for us, which is wonderful. That's what we want. And then we're gonna go just a little bit forward, and we're just gonna pull all the way through. And then we're gonna repeat from the back. So basically what you wanna try to do here is move ahead of your spot just a little bit, pull all the way through, and then you want to come back and meet yourself where you have your initial stitch ending. So I'm gonna come back. So we're gonna pull it through, make that connection, and then I'm just gonna follow down my line a little bit to the end of it, pulling all the way through, and then again, coming back to meet my initial stitch. This is called a back stitch. So this is a really easy stitching style. And then we're just gonna follow up here, continuing along. This is kind of a weird way to do this M. It's kind of fun to try to figure out what's the most efficient way to do your stitching so you don't have a ton of like big jumps happening. But you can see that it's really easy to make it come together. So again, I'm just following down my line, coming in through the back, and then when I'm in the front, I'm focusing on meeting that last stitch there so that we have a complete line. So once I pull through my last stitch, I'm going to pull my needle out, flip it over. You can see my back is like a little bit messy, but it doesn't matter. You're gonna cover that part up. And then you're just going to tie a little knot in your string there. Pull a little knot through and just slip it down as close as I can to my embroidery hoop, and then just snip right above my nail. So now we have a nice clean look here, merry and bright. I love it. It's so adorable. If I do this project again in the future, I'll probably make sure to trace it. I've seen a lot of people do the freehand look, so I thought I would try it today, but I think I've established with myself that I don't have the best handwriting, and I think tracing it would give a much better result. Just a reminder, learn from me, and when you do this, make sure that you create as sweeping of letters as you can, so they're not all crunched in together, which can kind of make your end product look a little bit muddy. The way you would finish this off, you would just trim around as close as you can to the actual hoop, really not worrying too much about it like popping out because you're gonna hot glue it here in just a minute. So trim off all the excess until you just have your little hoop there. And then once you have your hoop, you can just hot glue any rough edges down. And then what I did with this one is I added a little felt backing that I hot glued on as well. And then you can adorn with ribbons or whatever else you like to really finish off your Christmas ornament. Play with different stitches if you want to get fancy, play with different phrases, names, personalizations, play with different fabric colors and thread colors. You can really do a lot with these and create a really versatile set of ornaments. It's really fun. So our ornament is going to be using these acrylic blanks, and we're going to use paint and vinyl to customize them. These are really cute to do like common Christmas sayings, and they're a little bit bigger, so you can do like quotes from Christmas movies. You can customize them with names, monograms, dates, years, entire families. Let's go ahead and jump onto the computer and start designing our vinyl portion. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space. I am using a font that you can get on design bundles. It is included with a Plus membership. It is Monkey Script. We're going to be using Monkey Script today to put some cute little sayings on our acrylic ornament. So I'm going to do one that says ho ho ho, and then we're going to do a second one that says merry and bright. Let me show you really quickly over on design bundles. I'm just going to pop it up over top of the screen here so you can see this is what the listing looks like for Monkey Script if you're looking for it on design bundles. It's really cute. I love the retro script font. So you can search that and find it. Go ahead and get it downloaded. And then once you have it downloaded to your computer, if you have a Mac, you're going to be putting it in your font book. You will be able to find it by selecting font and then going to system. System in Cricut Design Space is where all of your fonts that are on your computer are kept, and then you can just search it by the font name and it'll come right up. That's kind of how you get to it. If you don't already have it downloaded, or if you are using this one with us today, feel free to use whatever font you want to. But if you want to use that one, that's how you're going to get to it. What I'm going to do really quickly though is open my acrylic blanks, and we're going to measure it to make sure that our size is right. So the diameter is just about 4. I really want our text though to kind of stay around 3. So just over here on the computer, I'm gonna select ho 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 because I do want it to be all in one line. I think that'll be cute. And I'm just gonna change the width to 3. I'm also gonna adjust the line height here and move bright a little bit up. You can do that under line space. I'm just gonna knock that down a little bit until it's just right snug up in there. And then I could technically separate these and like move bright around with a little more freedom, but I actually like it all centered like that. I think that's really nice. And we need this to be 3, just like the other. So we're gonna do that. And now we have both of our little things cut out in vinyl. Let's set that off to the side for a second. Let's get paint on these bad boys because we want the paint to be drying while we're cutting our vinyl. That's gonna save us time. So let's get some blue paint. I'm gonna use this bright blue color. So I'm literally just going to make like a swoosh. So I'm going to get some paint and I'm just gonna make 2 little swatches. Like I'm not really concerned about how clean it looks. Like I'm just making sure I have the paint on there like pretty thick. But in terms of like shape or design, you really cannot mess this up. Like we just want a swatch. So you can do 1 coat and then go on to the other one and then come back. Whatever works best with your paint and how long it's gonna take to dry, but you're probably gonna end up wanting to do 2 coats. So you can see I'm literally just swashing it on there. We're just making sure it looks somewhat even, but even with that, it's okay to have areas that are more heavily painted than others. It doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, I don't even think I'm gonna need a 2nd coat. Like I think that looks great. I like it being a little less opaque in some areas. I think it just adds to the appeal. So we're actually all good here. So I'm gonna set those off to the side and allow them to start drying, and then let's pick out some vinyl and cut our vinyl for these. All right, this is where I keep all the vinyl over here. I kind of like this idea of having it be dark blue, light blue. So I'm gonna select this like baby blue color and we're gonna go with that. We're keeping it really simple on the computer. I'm not even gonna show you this part necessarily because it's so simple. We're gonna make sure we're cutting this on a mat. We do not need to mirror anything because we're using adhesive vinyl today. We are gonna cut this on our Maker 3 today, but you could do this project on a Cricut Joy, on a Cricut Joy Extra. You could really do it on anything because these are very small designs that we're cutting out. And I'm gonna cut this on the premium vinyl removable matte setting. It's pretty much the same as the permanent vinyl setting, but I just have found that it's my fave and I use it every time. So we're gonna use that, and we don't even need to select to remember material pressure because we're only gonna be cutting one mat. So let's get this loaded up and get it cutting. All right, so I'm just gonna take my little slap bracelet off here. I might have enough to just even this out. That'd be really nice. I love when I get to even out my vinyl roll. And we're just gonna place our vinyl in the top left corner here. And then I'm gonna use a little squeegee to just kind of lay it all down, make sure there's no bubbles. Don't obsess too much over that. It just needs to be somewhat flat. And then we're gonna load this into our Cricut and let it start cutting. Once you see the flashing go button, you can press it and it's gonna go to work. Okay, this is done cutting. Okay, this is not dry yet, so we're gonna set these homeboys over to the side. We're gonna weed this. I'm gonna weed it directly on the mat just so nothing is peeling up or curling. Just going to take my weeding hook, go to the upper corner, and then I like to just create a very flat angle and gently peel back. Now we just need to put some transfer tape on top. Just gonna cut this into 2 pieces really quick, and then we're gonna lay a piece down on top of Ho Ho Ho, and then we're gonna lay a piece down on top of Merry and Bright. Then we'll be able to pick these guys up later for our ornaments, and we'll let our acrylic ornaments dry. In the meantime, let's move on. We are here in the Glowforge app for this new design because this one is going to be a wooden ornament that we're going to cut out with the Glowforge and paint. And I absolutely love these, especially if you're planning to sell these online or sell them at a craft fair. I think these are bar none just amazing ornaments because they're really personalized. This is the design we're going to be using. I'm going to pop it up here real quick so you can see it. And what we're gonna be doing with these is personalizing the stocking. So it's gonna have like the family name at the top, and then you're able to add as many stockings as you want, like for each family member. So I think these are really cute. I think these are really trendy this year, and people love them because they're personalized. So let's drop our design into Glowforge. Let's go find it first because I think I had it in design bundles and I don't know if I downloaded it yet. So I'm just gonna search stocking ornament. I think this is the one that I saw before. I do really like this one, so we'll just go with it. You can see that it's telling you can fit 1 to 12 names on there, and then in the second listing image they're kind of showing you what that would look like. So let's go ahead and download this. We want the one that has the SVG file in it because that's the kind of cut file that the Glowforge reads. And then I'm just gonna go to my downloads here and unzip that file. And then we can hop right back over to Glowforge and we're ready to drop this in. So let's go to create new design and I'm gonna select to upload a file. So let's do 4 on ours and we'll just do it like for my family. So we're gonna do 4 stockings. We're gonna drop that file in. Let's put our wood in the Glowforge and then we'll come back to this. Okay, we're gonna use this wood right here. It's light, but it has character and it's still paintable. I'm opening the top, but I am actually gonna use my pass-through slot over here because it's a little bigger than the base of my Glowforge to kind of slide it in. I just kind of wanna bump it up against the inner lines there to make sure it's good and straight. Then we're gonna shut the lid. Okay, we've just loaded up our material in our Glowforge. It is now homing and calibrating and all of those wonderful things that it does. But now you can see our design a lot better, which was what we wanted. So you can see it's gonna cut a bunch of individual pieces. We're gonna end up gluing those together and then we can paint our stockings or whatever we wanna do. Here's like our ornament piece. Here's the little name plate that goes at the top that's gonna have our name on it. Here's each individual stocking, which we are also gonna put names on in a second. And then here's our little Merry Christmas. We're gonna pick some settings here. It's not proof grade material, so it's not gonna automatically select our settings. But I tend to like to use the medium ash hardwood setting for this type of wood. So I'm gonna go ahead and select that. And when I do, you can see that these start showing up in different colors. Everything that's gonna be cut all the way through the material is orange, and everything that's going to be engraved is red. The only thing we need to do to this design is add some additional text. So I'm gonna grab a little text box here, and I'm gonna put Lambert because that is my last name. And we're gonna pick a different typeface. I really like this little lavishly yours. I think it's cute and it kind of almost matches what we already have. And we're just gonna put it right here. So now I'm going to make it a little smaller so I can really see. It's gonna know to engrave this because it says engrave, and usually text is engraved anyway. And now I am just going to duplicate it, and I'm gonna add everybody's name to their little stocking here. So that one is gonna be Henry. This one's going to be Hallie. This one is going to be Matt. And then one more time for me. We'll also put the year right there. Okay, so we have all of our engraving marks, we have all of our cut marks, and you can see how this would make a really good Etsy listing. It's so personalized, it's so detailed. So let's get into cutting this. We are ready, so let's hit print. It's gonna upload it to the Glowforge, and then we're gonna be ready to let this cut. We're gonna take a brief break while it cuts, and then when we get back, hopefully our acrylic ornaments are dry and ready for vinyl, and those are ready to pop out and paint. Okay, so this is done cutting. It's been about an hour or so. So I'm actually just gonna poke them out because it's making it hard to slide it through the little pass-through slot. There we go. So I'm gonna set that onto the side and get all of our pieces out here. Let's get them over onto the table and then I'll kind of show you what we're working with. We're gonna do some light sanding on these things. I thought I might have to recut these because like maybe they weren't gonna cut all the way through. They actually did really well. And I love how the little engraving, it's so delicate. Engraving turned out great. You can see how it's so delicate, but it's so pretty. So now we're just gonna do a little bit of sanding because sometimes, especially with the Glowforge Aura, which is the one that I have, I just feel like sometimes on the edges, it just does not do a perfect job. So now that we've done that, we are gonna need some glue to glue this one together. And then after we glue it together, we can decide about painting or not. Let's start the assembly process. I'm gonna start with this little nameplate on the top. And we're just gonna lay that on there. Now let's get the nameplate from the bottom. I've used this wood glue to hold together many a project. This is truly beautiful. I'm loving this. Before we put on the names on the stockings though, I am gonna go ahead and paint them. So I'm just taking my little paint pen. I really don't need it to be like crazy painted. I just want it to look red. Okay, let's do me and Matt's stockings at the top. Boop. And then we'll do Henry and then Hallie. All right, so now we're gonna take the whole thing, throw it on there. Look at that. She is put together. Now we're just gonna let her dry. So I'm gonna leave it like this. I'm not gonna like tilt it up to show you yet. We'll do that at the end. Let's let it dry and then I'm gonna use a Q-tip to kind of clean up the extra glue and then that ornament is ready to go. So I'm gonna set it off to the side and let's get back to these acrylic ones. So we've been letting this dry. We already weeded our vinyl and cut it. So let's just apply our vinyl now. Peel the backing away from the vinyl, not the other way around. So we're gonna do Merry and Bright first. I'm gonna put it on this one. And you kind of gotta be careful. Your transfer tape, it does have a tendency to like pull up the paint a little bit, especially if it's not totally dry. No! Okay, so it is doing it. It's pulling up the paint. That's okay. We can go back and fix it. This is why we did 2 of these also, friends. It also kind of makes it look a little more distressed, so maybe you like it like that. So it will pull up some of your paint. You can go back and fix it, or you can decide you like it that way. So I'll let you decide. Here's how this one turned out. Merry and Bright, very cutesy, very demure. Now I'm gonna show you what you could do to prevent so much paint from pulling up. It takes a little bit longer, but if you don't want paint to pull up, some people think it's worth it. So that's why we're doing 2 of these. We're gonna show you both methods. I was hoping it wouldn't pull up quite that much, but this transfer tape is quite strong, so it's a little problematic. So another thing that I do sometimes is I will literally cut it down to the bare minimum here. Like I am just going to cut around my design until I just have like one little piece of it. I'm gonna lay it down here and then I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna show you actually kind of 2 methods in one, because see how like even just trying to grab my transfer tape is like causing the paint to peel? That's like so frustrating when that happens. Significantly different result there. That is one way to prevent your paint from peeling. Another thing that I will sometimes do, especially if I'm using a script font, is I'll take my weeding hook and I'm actually going to release my vinyl from my transfer tape. So I'm actually just gonna do this like a sticker. I'm gonna use my weeding hook here to kind of get my ho-ho-ho off of my transfer tape. You kind of have to be a little careful. This doesn't work as well if you're doing a long word. I will go ahead and tell you. But if you're doing like a monogram or like a short word like I'm doing right here, this becomes doable. So, and it is a little tricky, but I've got it on my finger. I'm just gonna grab my weeding hook, slide it under, don't get your own skin, and I'm literally just gonna lay it where I want it and tap it down. That is also an option for you if you're doing a shorter word. No peeling, no issues there because I laid it down manually. For the last one, I'm just gonna lay it down. I'm not selling this. I'm not super concerned about it. I'm gonna be very careful. I'm not gonna press too hard. I'm gonna peel slowly. I'm gonna do everything I can to protect that paint, not like I did on the first one. I think both have like their own merit. Like I think both are cute in different ways. You just have to decide what kind of style you like best. And at the end of the day, you can always come back with paint again and add more paint. Like get a little sponge or a cotton ball and add some more paint to it. All these would need is ribbon or string, and then they are ready to go. Acrylic ornaments. Okay, I'm really excited about this one. It is felt. So here is what we're going for. Here's the final design and what it's gonna look like. Let's get into it. This is a very beginner-friendly ornament, so I think this one might be my favorite of the day. Let's jump to the computer first. I'll show you the design. Let's get it set up in Cricut Design Space. We've got our background and our top layer as a separate SVG. So here's our background. I'm just gonna click upload, and there it is. Let's pull that in. And all I'm gonna do is just make these different colors so I can kind of visualize what I'm gonna be doing because these are two separate layers. So I'm gonna go in for this bottom layer and I'm gonna make it green because we are gonna be doing it in felt. And then we're actually gonna do our top layer in white HTV, which is going to be really cute. We're gonna iron it on and make this cute little design. So let's go ahead and hit make it. But since our first layer is HTV, we're gonna mirror it. And our second layer will still be cut on a mat, but it's just the felt background and we don't need to mirror that. So I'm gonna click continue here. I'm also gonna start heating up my heat press here in just a second. So I'm gonna do everyday iron on for that first layer. I'm not gonna remember material settings though, because we are gonna be swapping to felt. So let's just leave that. I'm gonna leave that running and let's get this loaded up. I'm gonna lay my vinyl shiny side down on the mat here. Press it down a little bit and then get it in the Cricut. I'm just gonna load it in. We're gonna get that layer cut, and while that one is cutting, I'm gonna go ahead and put my felt on my fabric mat. All right, so here's our felt mat. She has been through a lot. She has a little bit of carnage. She's ready to go. So I'm just going to load it under the guide points, press the load unload button and let it go on in. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start weeding this. And then honestly, this ornament is gonna come together really fast. You're going to be shooketh. You're going to be stunned out of your mind. Okie dokie. There's our cute little sweater backdrop. This part's gonna be really easy because all we're doing is ironing this on. So we're just gonna layer that on top and just press it down for 20 seconds. And it should get right on there. It's really easy to press onto felt. Typically I wait to cool peel, but I'm actually just gonna kind of use my weeding hook to get in there just to see if it's like really well adhered, because this is such a small thing that we've heat pressed here. So let's see if it really adhered. Let's see if it really got stuck on there. So far so good, it looks great. We've got like kind of 3 points to hold down here, but once you kind of get it started, you wanna hold it down with your hand, hold it flat, and then pull away. You should get a really, really good press out of this, because like I said, pressing on felt is usually really, really simple. We just have a few little wrinkles down here, and if you had like a small easy press, you could even come in and fix those, but that's cute. And then I feel like you could even come in with additional vinyl and add like a name across this center part, and it would just add that nice personalization, that personal touch. Okay friends, that was 6 DIY holiday ornaments you can make and or sell this holiday season. I hope that gave you a ton of good ideas. If you want to see any more of these ornaments kind of more in depth, or you want me to go through the process of making each of these more detailed, please let me know in the comments below which ones you're interested in, what you want to see more of. I do read them and I am happy to oblige. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and follow me everywhere on social media at It's Laura Lambert. I would love to connect with you. Until next time, friends, happy crafting. I think I just got paint in my hair. That was a close one. Oh, that was a bad idea because I've already got paint on my table. Let me get a baby wipe. All right, where? Oh my goodness. There we go. Why was that so hard? Honestly. Get some paint, and I'm just, wow, making a mess. Okay. I regret everything about that. Gosh, I really need to put this on wheels. Come on! The struggle is so real. Okay, and I got more paint on my table. Where is this even coming from? It's like it's coming out of nowhere. Where's my weeding hook? No, I think it's in that drawer. We're gonna use a different one. Go. Oh no. Okay, that was just a little bit much.